Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Kristin and Tina. This is Kristin Odell of KLO LLC, and I'm Tina Prigge of Vagabond Creative Studio. It is so great to see you this morning. Kristin, how's everything going?
Morning. It is going. I have like a crazy full day today. And so I'm just excited that I get to like pause for these 20 or 30 minutes or whatever we're going to do. And I get to spend it with you.
Thank you. It is a great way to start the day, isn't it? It makes me look forward to the week. And Stephen, Good morning from the foot of the lake. Good morning from Fond du Lac.
Fond du Lac.
Fond du Lac.
Good morning.
So Kristin, I noticed that you're dressed up quite nicely today. Is that to attack the rest of the day once we're done here?
This is fancy like Tuesdays.
It's a typical Tuesday.
I am actually, yes, I'm dressed a little bit higher end than I normally am. I am heading down to Milwaukee today to attend a MAC Fund event, which supports funding for childhood cancer and research. And I get to go see my dear friend Kristin, who used to be my old neighbor, and her really good friend Erin had twin daughters that had cancer. And so this is probably the fourth year or fifth year I've had an opportunity to go down there, and there's lunch and, raffles and all that kind of stuff, but they actually do a fashion show. And some of the kids who are in recovery, or I shouldn't say recovery, remission, get to come and be part of the fashion show. And so when I get done with us today, I have a couple of work things to do, and then I'm heading south.
So with that cool dress, are you part of the fashion show?
No.
No.
No, we just get to sit back and watch. There's some local artists, designers that put the show on. So they hire professional or semi-professional models to walk the runway there to music, but they also have kids participate in it. So it's super, super cute. So
cool. I love driving down to Milwaukee and having like an experience down there. I'm super glad I don't live there. I love Milwaukee, but I'm glad I don't live there. I love living here on the coolest coast, but it's always so fun, the energy and everything going down there.
Yeah, I'll be right downtown on Kilbourne today. So in the heart of Milwaukee. And, we used to live in Jackson, which is just north of Milwaukee. And I drove into the city every day for work. And when I came back to Manitowoc, I was like, oh my gosh, there are no roads above 45 miles an hour in the city. Like the hardest thing for me was driving slow. So, when I get on like 151 or sections of North Rapids Road where it's 45, my brain is so happy. But it's way better on the coolest coast.
Nice. Hey, speaking of being dressed up nicely, you guys also just attended a wedding. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And I've got a great video clip to share.
We did. So we had the pleasure on Saturday. This was a very quick trip, but we headed down to Ohio. Doug's amazing cousin, Kara, got married on Saturday. And so we got to head down there for the wedding and just had so much fun. A wedding is such a great place to see a lot of family members in a short period of time. So we really got to visit. Doug got to see some old acquaintances there as well. So it was a blast. And our girls love to dance and have fun. And, there's just all those aspects of family weddings that were really great. So
let's tee this video up. I do have to say that for some reason this program is stretching the video to full screen. So it's got kind of a funny aspect ratio, but it's still worth it because this is so cute. Let's just watch that one more time. That is just too awesome. These are the memories. Like Grace is going to have those memories forever. She's going to, 30 years from now, she's going to be talking to a girlfriend on a talk show or something like this, whatever they do in the future. She's going to be like, I had this amazing time at this family wedding, headbanging with my dad.
I know. Hopefully we still have the digital version of this. But yeah, I think I had already gone back to the house at this point because Nora was absolutely done with the day. and my sister-in-law texted me, and I just thought, there's so many ways for us to connect with our kids. And when they're little, they like need you and you have to do everything for them. So there's like a forced connection. And then they get a little bit older and there's independence, but they still kind of want to hang out with you. So let's say 6 to whatever, 10 or 11, they still like think you're amazing. And then you kind of reach this 12, 13 time where you're not as fabulous anymore and they start to challenge boundaries and then that just kind of goes on forever. And so, I think as we think about parenting and connecting with Grace, we have to find new ways to not just create memories with her, but kind of have things that she has these really cool connections back. And so the first thought I had was like, she's always going to remember that. Doug definitely was like leaning into things she's interested in and having fun with her. And so I think those will be really special memories.
It's also great because it's really showing her, it's demonstrating how to enjoy an event like that at that
Right.
age, how to be a part of society without necessarily being like the kid. And I do
Right.
think it's important. You're right. What you say, as kids start to become independent and they pull away a little bit, there's still that benefit of what we can teach them or what they can learn from being with us. Right now, I'm in the middle of the phase where my son is doing some college classes, and it's challenging, but he's doing really well, but he's got a lot of writing. And so what I find is helpful is if I'm his like study buddy, right? Like when he's got a topic, we'll like sit down and we'll like riff back and forth about it and kind of like philosophize about the topic and kind of, turn it around and explore different angles. And then it's up to him to actually write it. But like then he's super motivated. He's got all these ideas bouncing around because we've sort of talked about what does that
Mhm.
mean in the bigger picture? Why is your teacher asking you to do this? And so yeah, he's already mid-teen, so he's like, I'm way beyond not cool anymore. But, I feel like it's I was just even saying to Jason this morning, that opportunity to sort of demonstrate, okay, how to be a good student in this case. So we
Right.
just have to be good
Right.
role models.
I know. I love it. So if anybody else has ideas on how they like to connect with their somewhat or very much teenagers, I'm all ears. I'm sure Doug
Yeah.
will be all ears.
These moms and with our dads, we would love to know what your tips and tricks are.
That's right. I will take
Good morning,
all
Mary.
all the advice and suggestions I can get because I feel like, there's days where they're like your relationship is hot and it's awesome and you're like working together or doing whatever, kind of like you said. And then there's days where it's maybe not quite so warm. It's chilly and abrasive and not very nice. So it's always good to like find more places to connect.
Yeah. I find that it does help to call them out in those instances too, like, "Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Let's talk
Yes.
about what's stressing you out or what's bothering you," or, you
Right.
know.
Right. So
So,
yes.
I think that this looks like a great way to reconnect. Who doesn't wanna jump into this leaf pile?
Right? So this was yesterday, and it was a beautiful day yesterday, as you can see. Now,
Shorts. They're
I don't
wearing
know if I would
shorts.
have had shorts and t-shirts or tank tops on outside. However, that's the clothing they elected to wear, and I was fine with it. But yes, we were hanging out around the house yesterday, getting some things done. The kids were off of school because the teachers were doing staff development yesterday, and I look out and they have like that hill is as tall as Patrick and Nora there. And Josie's got the snow shovel and Patrick might have a shovel too. I don't even know what he has in his hand, but they just had so much fun playing with leaves and they were running and jumping in it and the whole thing. And like that's the fact that we have a day like that in November, first of all, is fabulous. And then just it's
Mhm.
fall.
So, did they make the pile themselves with those rakes?
Oh yeah, I didn't do anything.
Wow.
I know,
Here's
right?
here's the big question, did you jump in?
I did not. I did not. I'm still in a boot, so I'm not,
Oh.
I'm still not like running around outside.
Yeah,
Soon.
gotcha. Hey, Mary said, she doesn't have kids, but if anyone needs tips on cats or rabbits, let her know.
Perfect. Perfect.
That's awesome.
I love
So
it.
what else? So this looks delicious, Kristen. Look at I love this. I love that the girls are using chopsticks. That is great.
So we flew down to Ohio for the wedding. So Sunday night late, we had to fly back. We had a connection in Detroit, and there's a PF Chang's there, which just a fun fact, Doug and I's first real date was at PF Chang's in Milwaukee.
Aw.
So we had like 2 hours. So we're like, we're going to go and do a kind of a sit down dinner. And the girls, first of all, loved it because they served them noodles, chicken, and fruit. Like, who doesn't, as a kid, like that option? And then second of all, yeah, they made these. So Grace is like legit using chopsticks there. Josie and Nora, they had somebody that worked back in the kitchen that like took the wrapper from the chopsticks and like rolled it up and tucked it in between and then did a trick with the rubber band so that they were like, I should have grabbed one. I have one here. Um, that it would help them like it's like a tongs then almost to practice holding them.
What? So take a look. Oh, you can see that at the end of the chopsticks. Oh,
Yeah, if you
that's
look at
brilliant.
on the left, you can kind of see like there's a little piece of paper and it was the wrapper from the chopstick and then like a rubber band kind of weaved around it, but it just allowed them to like get their hands on it. And so they ate their entire dinner with chopsticks. I thought it was so fun.
That's so
But
cool.
yeah, it was kind of
You
one of
know,
those nights, like when you're like coming together in his family, like, okay, we're gonna do this. Like we flew down Saturday, flew back Sunday, like we knew it was going to be intense. And so I feel like that moment sitting there, like they're going to say also, do you remember that one time when we were in the Detroit airport and we ate at P.F. Chang's too? Like, I think it was one of those moments.
I think so too. And look at the cool art. Like it looks like it was
Yes.
a cool ambiance to do
Oh my
that.
gosh. It was like a super trendy. They had like hip Pacific Asian music on, like kind of techno-y, but you could hear the I don't know, what do you want to call it? Tina, you might have a word, but it's like that Asian twang. There's I love that you just sat and stared at me like you had no idea what I was talking about. I'm gonna work on another description for that. I don't have anything else right now, but anyway,
So it
the
was good
music
music. You enjoyed the
music was
music.
yeah, there was art everywhere. It was like an updated PF Chang's, so it like nice tile and booths or whatever. I don't know. It's in the
Mm.
airport, but anyway, it was
That's
fun.
awesome. You
Yes.
know, using chopsticks really is a learned skill. Like nobody is born just knowing how to use them. And I remember when Teak was small, he had like a set of chopsticks that was half size that somebody sent from Japan. And on the chopsticks, there were little like loops that you could put your fingers in. So it really helped you, so
Oh
you
my
didn't
god.
drop them and you kind
Right.
of got the feel for it.
Oh, I love that. That's a cute idea. Yeah, they did well. They did well with it. So I might have to look into that. Maybe that would be a fun thing. I learned how to eat chopsticks because my first husband loved eating Cheetos and did not like having cheesy fingers. And so anytime we ate Cheetos, we would use chopsticks. And so when you do that, you get like Cheetos are not hard to eat. They are not easy to grab with chopsticks. So I got very talented using chopsticks eating Cheetos.
That is brilliant. What a clever solution.
So
Now the trick is, can you also eat like a cheesy ball? You know, those cheesy poof balls?
that
Can
would
you eat
actually
that with a
be
chopstick?
that would actually be a very good test. I don't know. Maybe next week on the show we should try it.
That's a great idea. I love it. All right, viewers, have you used chopsticks? And if so, have you used them for interesting uses like picking up Cheetos?
Yeah. Tell us about it.
Yeah. If you've got pictures, if you send me the pictures, I can also post them in the chat after the show.
So Tina, we didn't necessarily talk about this before, but I know you had an opportunity to go to lacrosse this weekend. How was that?
Oh, so it was cool. So it was the state tourism convention, and Coolest Coast was invited to attend. So we said, why not? We love exploring the state. The state that we live in is incredible, right? And
Right.
so to go this past week, like you had the picture of the kids in shorts. That's what the weather was like for the trip, and the colors were changing. And I looked at Jason just as we were approaching lacrosse. I said, the last time we were in lacrosse, we saw eagles. And like just moments after that, two eagles soared around. So it was just incredibly beautiful. And I realized lacrosse and Manitowoc could be sisters. So lacrosse is on the Mississippi River, Manitowoc is on Lake Michigan. So it's anchored by this gorgeous body of water. Then Manitowoc has Bjornson's, right? This historic confectionery. Lacrosse has something called the Pearl. And when we looked in, we're like, oh my God, it's just like Bjornson's. So, we went in and had an ice cream sundae. And then there was something else that made it seem, just had this historic downtown. Oh, they have, just like Manitowoc had the beer bottles on the malting towers,
Yes.
they have like a 6-pack of cans on similar towers.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's great.
Is it for malting or what are they?
I think that they are actually brewing, like the G. Heilemann Brewing Company.
Right.
Is still there.
I mean, it
so
makes
there's like
sense.
a lot of old school.
A lot of brewing happens where rivers and lakes are, like, because you need water to brew. I know,
Yeah.
shocking.
So if you've never been to Lacrosse, really a cool place to visit. Highly recommend it. Hey, by the way, Mary, following up on the chopsticks, Mary said she uses it just with Chinese food. She hasn't tried anything else yet.
Blueberries would also be challenging.
You know what else? I've gotten to the point where I can pick up a bottle of soy sauce with my chopsticks.
Whoa, impressive. I want to see that.
I can't pour it yet, but I can pick it up.
Is that like Japanese tradition or just
no.
a Santina talent?
Just, pushing the limits of like, what can I pick up with these? What can I do?
Right. That's very cool. I love it.
And I don't know anyone who's Mr. Miyagi level yet where you can like catch a fly with them.
I mean, let's just talk really quickly, like being able to use chopsticks like that and having the strength, like that's some pretty fine dexterity, right? Like small motor skills that we all probably need.
Yeah, it's actually great. Oh, and Steven says, epic fail for me on chopsticks.
Oh, sorry, Steven. Maybe
Don't give up.
Next week, I will bring the chopsticks on the show so you can see them a little bit up close. And then, Steve, you could make your own pair of the kid version to start practicing.
That's a great idea. I love that.
Okay.
Hey, do you ever feel like the universe gives you a sign? Are you ever like doing anything and you're like, what?
All the time.
Awesome.
I very much feel like the universe sends me messages.
Cool. Me too. I'm glad I'm not alone in that. I was at a thrift store the other day and there was this bin of like discount books and I picked one out and I looked at the back and the first thing it said was bracingly intelligent. I'm like, okay, cool. That like is like a, resounding affirmation of what a good book this could be. Right. So it was like 50 cents or something. Right. So I grabbed the book. And I went home and I started reading it and it was really good and I was really enjoying it. And like partway through, I took the jacket cover off and it had this like embossed TP on the cover. And I was like, oh, it's like for me, it's like I was meant to be reading this book.
It is.
It turns out it's the author's initials too, but I still thought it was pretty cool.
No, but I mean, so Doug and I refer to that as the ping. So like you get that moment where your like heart skips a beat and you're like, that is more than coincidence. That is what I believe. Like, I thought you were going to say there was actually a different book in the jacket.
That's happened to me before. Did I tell you that story?
No. Oh my gosh.
So I was traveling and some of the travelers recommended the Gunslinger series by Stephen King. And so there's multiple books and I found the first one and I read it while I was traveling and it was great. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't typically horror. It was kind of like a sci-fi cowboy fan. It was good. It was great. Anyway, when I got back to Manitowoc, there was a used bookstore. And so I went and I found the second book in the series, right? And it was this paperback. And so I started reading it and it starts off like in a totally different setting, totally different place, but that's okay because the first book had like a time travel aspect to it, right? Like this gunslinging cowboy would pop into different periods of history. And I thought, oh, this is going to be interesting. And Stephen King is the master of that, right? Like taking you to unexpected places. So I'm like reading this book and then I'm like some pages in and I'm like, where is he going to go with this? And then it gets like a little steamy and I'm like, this is really unique, Stephen King. Like, where are you going with this? And so like, I'm already like racing ahead, like trying to figure out how the main character is going to weave back in. And I think I've got it figured out, but it doesn't unfold that way. And it gets a little steamier. And I'm like, this is really unusual, Stephen King.
Like,
so,
ooh,
yeah.
Stephen
So
King.
I get to page 60, and I think if it had been any other author, I would have known much sooner. But by page 60, I'm like, I just don't see how this is going to tie back in.
Right.
It's getting a little steamy. So I start flipping through the book, and like on all the pages, it doesn't say an author's name anywhere. And then I'm like flipping through some more, and like in the back, all of the other recommended titles, none of them are Stephen King books. So like now I'm kind of suspicious. And so I keep flipping through trying to figure it out. And then I look really, really closely at the binding. And you can tell by this point, when you really examine it, that it is the inside of another book glued into a Stephen King cover. So like somebody was, trying to read this erotica
Yes.
disguised as Stephen King. So I was like,
Cover
"Ah."
on it.
And if it had been any other author, right, like I would have known, but because it was Stephen King and because it was such a unique story, I had it all figured out. I'm like, oh yeah, this is totally going to work itself out.
That is hilarious. Did you actually go and find the actual book?
I
so that
did.
you can still read the series?
I did. I ended up finishing the whole series and it was great. But now when I think back, I always had this weird little blip in the series,
Did you finish the steamy novel?
I did not. I did not. I took it back to the used bookstore and I was like, this seems to have a different book. And the proprietress, she just took it and like puts it right under the counter, like I'm saving this for later.
Oh, that was mine. Sorry, that slipped into the collection.
Yes.
Oh, I feel
Oh,
like
thanks, Jason. Quintessential Tina
Right.
story, he said.
Like, I feel like these things don't happen. Like that would only happen to Tina.
Is that like a ping from the universe too? Like there's just this random journey.
It's only a ping if you felt the ping.
I
Sometimes
felt
we're like,
something.
yeah, confusion, perplexion.
Hey, Kay said every year her preschool class uses chopsticks to roast their marshmallows over a pretend Thanksgiving fire. Oh, so Kay, when you say that, are you sticking the marshmallow onto the chopstick or are you holding the marshmallow in between chopsticks?
That was exactly the question swirling in my mind. But I will say both mini marshmallows and large marshmallows would be another good practice thing for chopsticks.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Picking them up,
Right. I'm just still thinking about Tina reading this book and the cover being glued. It's so funny.
I know.
We have over the years, so Doug and I read the Dan Brown like series books. So he did like Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code and we probably read them 10 or 15 years. I mean, maybe pre-kids even. And I have taken the covers off for like just decorating around our house. Like, oh, I need to bump this candlestick up and I'll put, take the cover off and put the binding towards the back so you can't see the title. And, it just like looks cool. And it's a great way to reuse, like, we don't want to get rid of them because we really enjoyed them. But so we have them around our house. And last night I was kind of dusting and putting things away post contractor work. And I like wiped this one off and it was Angels and Demons. It has a red cover. And I was like, oh, these like, they look so cool without the cover on.
I do love when a book is when it's got this beautiful cover before you see the dust jacket. And yeah, I'm always torn. Do you keep the dust jacket on or do you just let it go?
Right. We have a lot because I feel like I will use them more in the house. Like it's still present with me, but I will use it more in the house without the jacket on. Tell us what you do. Do you just get rid of books? I don't know. Maybe people just read them. And I have been I've got to give a shout out to Tina. She put me on to Libby probably like 6 months ago, which is an app where you can connect your library card to this and it's basically the Wisconsin library system, I think, right? It's not even just local.
Right.
And so I've been basically borrowing books from the library and I can deliver them to my Kindle. So it's so cool because I read on my Kindle a lot in bed.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing that. And then this weekend, Grace and I were talking about, she wanted to read something and maybe the school library didn't have it or I don't know what it was. So I actually hopped on my phone and I was able to deliver it to her Kindle Fire. So she was able to read on her Kindle Fire on the plane using I could just do it right through my app and have it sent to her. So it's really
Yeah.
cool.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that you are using it and that you're using it with the kids too. I
Right.
love it. And you can also do audiobooks, or as I like to say, books on tape, which makes no sense anymore in this day and age. But yeah, Libby is super useful. And what's great too is there's never any overdue fees, because if you get to the date that it's due, it just pulls it back. No
Right.
harm, no foul.
Yeah. And you can go in. I mean, a lot of like titles that I've searched for are not available right away, but you can kind of put a hold on them. And when it becomes available, you can email it or notice and it says, hey, your book's available. And
Yeah, and if you're not ready for it, you can just say, "Oh, just give me a few more days and it'll deliver
right.
it later."
Yeah.
Hey, Mary said that she loves Philippa Gregory, who wrote the book The Other Boleyn Girl. I've read that book. I've read a couple by her, Mary. I totally agree. I really like her style. I love that kind of historical fiction where you're learning about an era, where you're learning about what the life and stuff might have been like, even though it's fictionalized. That's
Right.
awesome.
Right. I've actually read a lot of World War II books in that format. So like nonfiction related or aspects of it that are nonfiction, but with a fictional story alongside. Can you guys see this winter sun creeping in?
It's
Do you remember?
coming.
It's so bizarre. I'm like having flashbacks now to last year where we've been through so much time together that we're back to the winter sun low in the sky creeping in
Winter
my
is
window.
coming. Winter is coming. Oh, Stephen also said Goodreads too is an app to keep a list of books you read and want to read and suggests books you would like. I will check
Ooh,
it out. Thanks for that tip,
see?
Stephen. Hey,
Look
you know
at
what
what
else is coming, Kristen? Since you mentioned winter, it's Santa.
our favorite guy. Do you think he'll do an interview with us again?
I don't know. That would be awesome. I'd love to talk to him again. Santa, if you're watching, let us know. We've been very good this year. So,
Santa posted last week that he has been working really hard on his beard and getting groomed up and ready for the season. So just a shout out to our very favorite Santa.
does it feel like Christmas has come super early as far as the decorations and things? Like in lacrosse, they already had their Christmas decorations lit up.
Yeah, I kind of have a fundamental issue with this. Like, I love Christmas, but I appreciate the pause of being thankful and showing gratitude. And so Thanksgiving is very important. And so, yes, we've been places where I'm trying to think where it was. Nora said to me the other day, it is not even Thanksgiving yet. And I'm like, you say it, girl. You are right. It is
Yeah.
not even Thanksgiving yet.
Yep.
So,
I won't make any Christmas candies and we won't put up any decorations until at least the day after Thanksgiving.
right. Now, I do have to say, we drove through downtown yesterday on the way to CrossFit, and I saw our favorite friend, Mr. Tom Drill, in his Tom Drill clubhouse ringing the bell yesterday afternoon. So that to me is also a sign of the holiday season coming, and I could not possibly ever be angry with seeing Tom Drill downtown ringing a bell.
So true. So true. But even that seems early this year too, doesn't it? Or is my timeline just off?
I don't
Maybe
know.
because it's still so warm.
Right. And I mean, I'm kind of thankful for so he was out during daylight yesterday. I was worried, like, maybe this is the mom in me. I always worry about him standing on the corner where cars from Franklin Street turn onto East Street and ringing at night where it is dark. Um,
And he's
but
not moving as fast as he once did. Yeah, you really have to worry about him.
so I was thankful to see him out in daylight yesterday afternoon and cars swinging by and people talking to him. I just like that's such a signature part of our downtown at this time of the year. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, you guys, I am so sorry, but I do have to go to the dentist. Not my favorite thing to do, but I do have a great dentist these days, so that makes me happy. But I've got to run, so I'm not late. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this morning. I think, Kristen, we have so much fun, not only chatting with each other, but interacting with you out there. Thank you so much for joining us. Kristen, I'm already looking forward to next week.
I know we have these weekends are crazy busy. We're gonna have so much to talk about going into the holidays.
Oh, do you know what? This weekend is my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. Yeah, so we get
Oh,
to have a gathering like on the day. So like 50 years from when they first said I do, we get to
that
have a little
is
party.
really cool. Okay, you need to ask them what their marriage advice is and share it on the show next week.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
That sounds good. All
Bye, guys.
right.
Have a great week.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time on Coffee with Kristen and Tina.